Hey co-stars, welcome to another episode of Generation Films. My name is British Ben. Now, all young guys like speed, competition, and impressive spectacle. But the sheer satisfaction of smashing one thing into another is simply unbeatable. The producers of sci-fi shows know this, and thus they have often included a specific type of battle-winning maneuver that really gets your blood pumping.
Perhaps today is a good day to die. Prepare for ramming speed!
So this is top 10 ramming maneuvers in science fiction. And you know, not everything always goes your way, so we're going to include a couple of unsuccessful ramming attempts as well. Number 1. Worf attempts to ram a Borg cube. When the Defiant is fighting off the Borg cube in Star Trek First Contact, it really is a sort of last stand kind of battle to save humanity from being assimilated. The ship is basically done, and Worf, sensing the opportunity that he can fulfill the Klingon tradition of dying a glorious death in battle and join Kahless in the afterlife or Sto-vo-kor, where he will fight an eternal battle against great enemies, naturally orders ramming speed. But it's rudely cut off when the Enterprise turns up uninvited and Picard has the nerve to transport Worf and the survivors aboard. Actually, Worf did have another option at his disposal besides ramming. In our video on the USS Defiant, we covered the fact that the nose section of that ship is actually a detachable warhead with a yield of 6 photon torpedoes. It's kind of like a last stand weapon that you could use to buy some time as you evacuate the ship before getting destroyed. Number 2. ht'tak rams Ori ship in Stargate. In the Stargate SG-1 episode Flesh and Blood, several ht'tak class vessels controlled by the Jafar are fighting the Ori, and it's basically a losing battle. This is when Master ht'tak decides it would be a good opportunity to engage ramming speed.
ht'tak, what are you doing?
I believe he intends to ram the enemy vessel.
Colonel Mitchell tries to get Teal'c to talk him out of it, but Teal'c's kind of like, you know what, I'm quite interested in seeing if this Sto-vo-kor place is real. What about that Kahless dude? Was he a system lord? Let's ram. So they just go for it, and at the last minute they're beamed aboard the Odyssey, but the ship still rams into the Ori vessel in a spectacular explosion that, to the Ori ship, is really just like a fly hitting the windshield. It does nothing whatsoever. Number 3. USS Kelvin rams the Narada. This is the opening scene from the Star Trek 2009 movie where the USS Kelvin faced a much larger Romulan vessel from the future that had been enhanced with Borg technology. And it's the reason for this line in the film.
Your father was captain of a starship for 12 minutes.
He saved 800 lives.
You see, when the captain is killed, Kirk's father assumes command. When he realizes he only has manual control, he personally pilots the ship, defending the shuttles as they evacuate, and then personally rams the Narada, losing his life but protecting his wife and newborn son. Or maybe he didn't mean to ram the ship, but one of those lens flares got in his eyes and he couldn't see where he was going, and tragic if that's the case. Number 4. Kirk rams the Doomsday machine. So we're now at Kirk Jr., the actual Captain Kirk. Now, when Kirk and his crew were not busy advertising discount hotel booking services...
This is the Priceline spokesman. I get to stay for free.
Oh, Bill. I thought it was room service.
They were busy ramming starships into things. In the episode of the original series, The Doomsday Machine, Kirk disables a seemingly unstoppable superweapon by ramming the USS Constellation into a hole into the front of the machine. Now, when I first saw this on Netflix, I thought, wow, the special effects in the 1960s were way ahead of their time. And then I realized what's on Netflix is actually a remastered version. If you're curious what the original looked like, here's a little shot of that. Yeah, I think we'll stick with the remastered version. So Kirk has this plan that overloading the impulse engines will cause an explosion big enough to disable the Doomsday machine. Only problem is that the USS Constellation has been damaged, so Kirk has to personally pilot the ship in and then beam out at the last minute. So he sets a ramming course. There's a little problem with the transporter and you're really on the edge of your seat. The ship gets swallowed up by the machine, which barfs out some blue stuff for some reason, and you find out that Kirk does make it back onto the Enterprise. Number 5. A-Wing rams the bridge of the Executor. Okay, now it's time for Star Wars. You know we cover everything with Star in the name, right? Star Wars, Stargate, Star Trek. We'll have a little Battlestar Galactica for you later. Anyway, so in the movie Return of the Jedi, the rebels take out Vader's personal Star Destroyer, the Executor. First, these rebel terrorists take out the bridge deflector shield, which leaves the bridge of the ship an open target. Then they follow up with a suicide attack directly through the window of the bridge. This causes the entire ship to lose control and in turn ram into the surface of the Death Star and explode. Countless thousands of people died in this senseless attack. The one thing that bugs me though is why does it immediately start moving downwards as soon as it gets hit, huh? Is there like an actual pilot on the bridge with his hand on the joystick and then he dies and lets go of it and the ship starts going downwards, pulled towards the Death Star by its own gravity? Curiously, the Doomsday machine in Star Trek does the exact same thing after it is rammed. It starts floating downwards. Like, what's pulling it down? There's no large object with gravity anywhere near it, and there's no gravity in space. Anyway. Number 6, Hammerhead Corvette rams Star Destroyer. Now this is probably my favorite ramming sequence in Star Wars because it's a real David and Goliath type situation. At the Battle of Scarif, a little Hammerhead Corvette first rams into the side of a Star Destroyer and then engages its sublight thrusters to ram the Star Destroyer into another Star Destroyer that happens to be next to it, and then in turn, that Star Destroyer rams into the energy shield opening above Scarif. It's like there's no end to the ramming, it just keeps on going. You even get to see some guy's head ram into a control panel. You hear that sound? Isn't that satisfying? Can we play that a couple more times? Alright, moving on. We did promise some Battlestar Galactica. Number 7, Pegasus rams Cylon ship. Battlestar Galactica, the show where they love moving the camera around so much that you can't really tell what's going on. Anyway, in the episode Exodus Part 2, Galactica is being attacked by Cylon ships when the Pegasus makes a triumphant entrance. She holds off the Cylon's fire so the Galactica can make its FTL jump safely, and then they abandon ship and engage a ramming maneuver that would give Worf and ht'tak wet dreams. Cue the Scottish music. Number 8. Voyager rams the Krenim time ship. Voyager, that ship that's crashed, auto-destructed and blown up a million times. But it always happens in some sort of alternate reality or time loop so the ship and everyone on it can be back to normal by the next episode. Cue the Krenim time ship. This was a ship that could wipe entire civilizations from the space-time continuum, like this. Now Voyager battles this ship throughout the episode Year of Hell, and they eventually figure out how to disable the ship's temporal core and temporal shielding so that Voyager can ram into it and destroy it. The idea being that if the ship is destroyed, everything it tinkered with in the space-time continuum, all those civilizations it erased, everything, including Voyager, will go back to normal. Janeway delivers a killer one-liner before the ramming maneuver.
Time's up.
You get it? Time's up. It's a time ship. Enjoy the ramming. Number 9, Picard rams the Scimitar. Now we've talked about this one before, and it's probably the most epic ramming maneuver in Star Trek. The Enterprise E literally goes head first and slices into the Scimitar. And it's funny because you never see Picard issue orders to evacuate the front half of the saucer section before he does the ramming. He just goes ahead and does it. Imagine it was the Enterprise D and some kid was having his birthday party in 10 forward just before they did that. Anyway, moving on. Number 10, Hyperspace ramming in The Last Jedi. Now say what you will about the movie The Last Jedi as a whole, but you've got to admit the hyperspace ramming scene was pretty epic. Now, Vice Admiral Holdo, was she really believable as a military officer? It reminds me of that meme with the European defense ministers who look like the members of a book club versus the defense minister of Russia. Holdo looks kind of like a professor at a liberal arts college who puts her pronouns in her Twitter bio. Anyway, she carries out the attack, which is probably the best scene of the film. She starts to power up engines, and at first the crew of Snoke's Star Destroyer thinks she's doing it to distract them. But then the ship turns to face them, and it's too late. Well guys, that is our top 10 ramming scenes in sci-fi. Let me know which one is your favorite in the comments below. If you're into vlogs, I've been uploading a bit to my vlog channel recently. My latest video, we give you a house tour of this clifftop mansion we rented in Mexico. It's pretty cool. So if you're into that kind of thing, do check out the channel. I'll put a link for it on screen in just a moment. If you're new, subscribe to Generation Films as well, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.